Hey guys, before we start our video, I would like to say, if you want to send a personal true story of yours, please send it through email given in the description. Let's start the video. So this was around 2010. The internet was new to me, and video calls were the shit among my friends during those days. One day, one of my friends called me on Skype and we spoke about stupid things that I can't even remember. Suddenly, my friend froze for a second, but the video wasn't interrupted. After some seconds, he asked, "Who's the person behind you?" I didn't turn to look because I thought that he was playing a lame-ass prank on me. But I asked him to describe the person and he said that it was a boy of around 10 to 12 years, wearing a red t-shirt. He kept on asking me to look behind me and I finally did. However, as expected, there was no one there. It has been almost 10 years and he still maintains that there was someone behind me. After a few days, I started feeling uneasy around the table that my computer was on. I would feel something rubbing my foot from beneath the table, but I thought of rats and tangled wires as the explanation for it. After a few weeks, my mother said that she had been noticing stuff move in the kitchen by themselves. I didn't believe her until, one day, I saw a glass move by itself. It was clinking like something was stuck inside it while it was upside down. However, I didn't think of it much. After some days, I started to see some women in white around my bed at around 2 o'clock. It could have been sleep paralysis. Once my aunt told me that something had also touched her feet beneath the computer table. Finally, my grandmother decided to cleanse the house, and I haven't noticed anything suspicious since then. I am not superstitious, but what I saw was real. It was around 3 in the morning. I was half asleep when I heard weeping. I saw my sister on the other side of the bed pointing towards my side of the bed. I asked what was wrong. She cried that there was someone standing there. Just like I said, I was asleep, so I tried to take a better look, and it was dark. Even the electricity was out. I saw a dark figure standing beside me, but I didn't cry or weep or do anything. I was still trying to focus on what was there. Before I could see clearly, my sister began to scream. She started screaming that he's coming for me. I asked her who is coming, but she just kept repeating those horrifying words. Even though my sister is a lot older than me, but still she's a bit different from me. She's a bit scared kind of person. So, as I was saying, I quickly ran to get my mom, while my sister was still lying in the bed weeping. When my mom finally came, I told her what happened. My mom is very religious and all, so she didn't care cause she knew all about ghosts and stuff. So she calmed my sister down, and then I started to explain everything to her. When she heard the story, she told my sister to go to sleep. My sister refused, but my mom forcefully made her sleep. I lay in bed thinking about that figure. I didn't want to believe my sister at first, but unfortunately, I had to. I know there was something there, but I don't know what it wanted from us. When I was about 9, I used to play by myself alone. Both my parents had jobs, so I would be left with a babysitter. She used to tell me spooky stories that got me goosebumps. But one night, while I was alone in my room, I saw this shadow. It wasn't mine for sure, but I ignored it. But then suddenly I saw the shadow waving at me. I thought it was probably my little sister pulling pranks on me. Until one night when she was sitting next to me watching TV. The shadow came back again. Well, my sister couldn't see it, since she was right next to me. When I asked her, "Do you see that shadow?" she said, "What shadow?" Then the shadow did not come back for probably a month. Until one night I woke up at 3 o'clock for a glass of water. I noticed my windows were open, so I went and closed them. Then suddenly I heard a whisper, "Remember me?" I was really freaked out, and when I turned back to have a look, I saw that shadow again. I tried ignoring, but I couldn't. And then suddenly my jar, which contained water in it, broke. It was in the middle of the table. I was the only one in the room, so no one could have pushed it. Then suddenly I heard a voice singing. The shadow kept on singing, "Remember me?" I don't know why this shadow is after me. He keeps coming in my dreams once a week and sings. This is very creepy. I don't want to tell anyone else because they will just think that I am going mad, which I am not. When I experienced this, that time I was around 11 or 12 years old. I used to sleep in my parents' room. My single bed used to be placed in the corner of the room while parents' bed was in the center. There was a window beside my bed, and most of the time my father would wake up at night and check my covers, put them properly on me and adjust the windows. Sometimes he would open them little bit, while other times when he would feel it's getting bit cold, then he would close them. It was his habit. He also had a habit of snoring. So it was a December night when I was sleeping in parents' room. I had a blanket on. In the middle of the night, I woke up as I usually wake up after a couple of hours at night and changed my side soon to fall asleep again. I woke up and I was facing a wall, so I turned around to face towards right side. So while I was turning around and was laying straight, just about to turn to right, I decided to pull more blanket on me, so I removed my blanket from my face and brought my right arm outside the blanket to pull it upward. I saw someone standing right beside my bed facing the window. We used to sleep with bedroom lights off at night, with only one light on outside the window, beside which my bed was placed. So it was not clear at that time and hard to make out who actually standing there. I saw that person standing there facing the window with his one arm stretched towards the window. He had light golden or yellow colored pants with light blue colored shirt. His dress looked blurry, and maybe that's the reason the dress color looked pale. My mind quickly shifted to my father, that he is the one trying to adjust the window. I tried to focus at his face, but it was not clear, and due to very little light, I could not make out his face. But then a thought came up in my mind that my father doesn't wear pants and shirt at night. He sleeps with the shirt off. So that confused me. I shifted my head upwards to see him clearly. And one thing that I noticed at that time was that he was not moving. Literally, his arms stretched towards window with his face turned that side, watching outside the window. It seemed like he didn't acknowledge my movement. So instead of pulling blanket on, I stretched my arm towards him calling Dad. He didn't respond. Second time I moved a little bit closer to him, trying to touch his other arm that was towards me to get his attention while calling Dad twice. It was then when I found out that my hand was not touching him, although the position where he was standing it should have touched him by now. But he was untouched and undisturbed by my calling and moving. I took a little closer look, as at that time I was half sitting trying to touch him, and noticed that he was a boy around the age of 23 or 24, not my father. A sudden rush of electricity went through my body upon realization that he was not my father, and only the other person that was in my room was my mother, who is no way that tall as he was, around 6 feet, same like my father. I shakily placed my arm that was stretched towards him back inside the blanket and pulled the blanket above my face, laying there straight as in the position I was at that time. Not knowing what to do and at the same time thanking God that he didn't notice me calling him, I started reciting little prayer in my mind as I completely forgot the other long prayer which was specifically used to be prayed while experiencing paranormal presence. All that happened in about 3 minutes or so, from my waking up to putting the blanket above my face upon realizing who he was. After that, I was so scared to even move a little, scared of getting his attention. Although I knew that laying completely straight was not a good idea, but I didn't have the courage to change side. I kept praying while holding blanket tightly with my hands, and my body was completely drenched in sweat. After about an hour, or what I felt was an hour, I decided to wake my parents up. I could hear my father snoring at that moment, but before that I couldn't, as I felt my ears numb along with my whole body. I called my father slowly for about 2 or 3 times, but I could still hear his snoring. I lifted the blanket from my face so that he can hear me and saw that no one was standing there. Whoever that person was, already gone. I checked the rest of the room while looking everywhere if someone was standing anywhere else, but no one was there. So I called Dad, this time louder, and he woke up asking me what's the matter. I told him that I want to sleep beside him in his bed, and he said okay, come. I pushed the blanket off and was about to get up when in front of me on couch I saw a shirt. It was my father's shirt, which he removed before going to sleep, and I knew that it was just a shirt there. But all of a sudden, fear struck me with full force that someone was sitting there inside. I knew that it's just the fear which I was feeling after experiencing that boy, but I couldn't comfort myself. Father told me to come, but I said no, who is there? While looking at the shirt, come and pick me from my bed. He turned the little light on and saw me looking at his shirt with fearful face. So maybe he noticed that something was up. Or I saw a scary dream. That's why I was getting scared of his shirt or couch. He said no one is there in convincing manner, and that I should come to bed beside him. So I made my way towards his bed and laid down beside him, facing towards my bed where I came from. I quickly fell asleep and saw a horribly scary lady standing towards the other side of the room, and I woke up. I thought whether it was a dream, watching that lady or reality. But it was surely a dream, because the position I was sleeping was not where the lady was standing in the dream. As of now, I'm 19 years old, and that was my first paranormal experience that I shared. After that, for many years, I kept experiencing paranormal activity in the other room. As soon after that experience, I didn't want to sleep at the same bed again, and I moved in another room where my grandma and brother used to sleep. But I didn't know that it was just the start. I still live in the same house.